back to the IGEL Podcast. I'm Furmanski with the product marketing team. We've got a lot of great content, and I'm really excited about this one. It's a very relative, timely topic, no matter where you're located around the world. And I'm joined by the one and only JT. JT, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Alan.
It's
great to be here.
An absolute pleasure. So tell us a little bit about your role, where you're based out of,
Okay,
and things like that.
Sure. So I'm Justin Thorogood, JT for short. I have been at IGEL now for nearly 3 years.
Nice.
My responsibility is I'm the area vice president for channel for the UK, Ireland, and the Asia Pacific region, which includes Japan and Australia, New Zealand thrown in for good measure. So, yeah, I've got a hell of a big patch.
You do. I can only imagine what your calendar looks like, scheduling meetings and all hours of the day and night, right?
Well, when I'm asking my partner to schedule meetings in the calendar, you know how serious it is.
Got it. All right, so today's topic is going to be the global chip shortage, and I know that's one that you've been involved in quite a bit recently, and you've also been on the road. So tell us a little bit about your travels, and then maybe a 60-second elevator pitch on the global chip shortage.
Sure, yeah. The carbon footprint's been pretty high since November of last year. 2 visits to Japan, an Asia tour, and some time with our Australian friends, hooking up with some of our vendors over there as well. So we're doing some events with Omnissa and also with Island Browser.
Yes, absolutely.
That secure browser market seems to be absolutely booming at the moment in Australasia. And it's work that we're looking to replicate across the region. It's almost that's the best practice for us right now. So, but yeah, loving the partnerships, loving the conversations, and just getting in front of good people and sharing the message.
I love it. Having those conversations in person really makes a difference, especially as I know we're looking to do more in the Asia Pacific region and ensure that we're meeting customers where they are and some of the unique geo challenges that they may face there.
Not just that, but I remember having to read a guide the first visit to Japan around bowing etiquette. That was something very special. And something that they do appreciate.
Yes, the bowing etiquette and the presentation of the business card, as I recall. For those, I guess, that still have physical business cards, a lot of tradition, a lot of etiquette involved.
Well, actually, you say that, Alan. That's actually the first time I've actually had to have them printed.
Really?
With my Japanese equivalent name on them. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a thing. And 2 hands, and you've got to present it to them. You don't look them in the face. And there's I said bowing etiquette, 15 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, depending on what you've just done.
There you go. There you have it.
You heard it here first, gang.
That's it. All right, so tell us about the global chip shortage. If you have a 60-second elevator pitch, I know a lot of people know about this, and it's something that we need to kind of think through and plan for, but what's your summary take on it?
Okay, so if we take a look at the global landscape, at the moment, effectively there are 3 major chip manufacturers in the world. Okay,
right.
So we've got Samsung, based in Korea.
Yes.
You've got SK Hynix, and you've got Micron. And these guys basically make the chips that sit within our desktops, within our laptops, but also servers, storage, data center kit,
even cars. I know in my Tesla, the eMMC chips and different systems. So yeah,
we'll get to that. But these manufacturers have a certain amount of capacity to produce, and our good friend AI has come along and kind of tried to spoil the party, and are actually doing a pretty damn good job of it. So because of this desire for knowledge, intelligence, the hyperscalers are building out their platforms. The chat GPT owned by OpenAI.
Yes.
Google and Anthropic are making significant investments in terms of, it's the race to who can be first to AGI. Unfortunately, as part of this race means that they're basically providing an open checkbook to the chip manufacturers, saying, "Look, we'll take everything that you've got." And this is before we even go down the avenue of the automotive manufacturers that you just mentioned.
Yes.
A certain gentleman called Elon Musk, who is determined to get us all, interplanetary, has just announced that he's going to be building his own fab unit.
Right.
And he said publicly that he will buy everything that SK Micron, SK Hynix, Micron, and Samsung he'll take the lot. Open checkbook.
Right.
What would you do if you're those businesses? You're going to take the higher order value, right?
Absolutely. I mean, business is business, right? You got to transact, and what does that mean for the rest of the world?
Well, it's interesting you say that because, and I think that this is a common misnomer, is that they're saying, AI is ruining the party, but not really understanding the subtleties that sit behind it. So, from an AI perspective, we all think of GPUs, right?
Yeah.
We're like, well, how the hell is that affecting memory, right? So, there are actually a different set of manufacturers like TSMC in Taiwan and ASML that are based in the Netherlands. And yes, they are responsible for producing the chipsets for, working with the likes of NVIDIA as customers, as an example. They actually put the component parts together, so they put the GPU and the memory together onto the one card. But the reason that this is having such a profound impact is those three companies I mentioned to you previously.
Yes.
Yes, they're making the DRAM, the NAND that sits in our laptops. But those very same facilities have the capability to make the specific memory that goes to those AI manufacturers, those two companies, and it's called high bandwidth memory. So it's a little bit more of an intense process.
Okay.
The good news is for those three organisations is it's exactly the same manufacturing line. I use the term I've been using with our channel partners is it's almost like having three bakeries. You make loaves on a daily basis. Someone has come along to those companies and said, I need millions of wedding cakes, and there's an open checkbook. They use the same ovens and the same people. It's a bit more of an intense process, but they make so much more money doing it. So effectively, the OEM manufacturers, our hardware companies, are basically left with the crumbs. Right. So they're still baking loaves, just not very many of them. Right. And it means that there is a fight to get the components that they need to build the devices that our customers need.
Wow.
So
that's something that we all need to think through and advise our customers. Has there been anything similar throughout history? Can we learn from the past? I know, many of us are old enough to remember SIM and DIM and different types of memory and platforms. Has there been similar kind of chip shortages? Obviously, AI is kind of a world unto itself now, right? You could say we're going to uncharted territory, but can we learn from history a little bit in this way?
So, yes, in some ways. I hate using the term, but we're going to talk about it. It's the whispered about subject now because we'd all like to forget about it, but obviously the pandemic, COVID-19, it had a profound impact on supply chain. I think that everybody was in a race to acquire devices super quick, whatever they could get their hands on, and that then created this kind of knock-on impact where people just couldn't get hold of devices. And the difference with that, I think, was that as time went on, we could see light at the end of the tunnel. We just managed to somehow increase production. Yes. But I think we're now at the point with the three chip manufacturers where they are at capacity for what they can deliver. Now, you would automatically think that why can't you just build some more factories, right? Factories can be built pretty quickly these days. The issue that you've got is that these units are, first and foremost is that they're pristine clean. To a level that you couldn't comprehend.
Even more than hospitals, right?
Exactly.
They need to be incredibly
exactly. You need to go through kind of three stages as an employee of walking through different. I can't think of the word for them. Where you get sprayed, basically. Sure. But the time it takes to build one of these memory fab units is something in the region of 3 years if it's super aggressive, 5 years. So this is the equivalent of building a nuclear reactor. So the problem is you've got the supply chain issues now. They can't possibly be addressed unless this AI bubble goes pop, which I don't think we can forecast that happening. Certainly not at the moment. But I think the crux of this is that the problem's just not going to go away. So to our channel partners, as an example, are advising customers maybe to sit it out and just wait. It's probably about the worst advice that you could give. Yeah. And certainly our hardware partners are advising customers, look, if you're in a position to order now, you really should do. But if that same message is going to every single customer, it kind of creates a bit of a panic situation. And the long and short of it is that lead times have become insanely long, and also the equipment that the customer wishes to acquire is either not available, or the price that they received even a few days ago isn't valid. You know, you can't hold, the prices just can't be held.
That's crazy.
But yeah, as I said,
Wow.
it's not a nice situation to be in. I mean, if you cast your mind back to 2025, I think the main event for us all was looking around what happens with Windows, what happens to customers that haven't made that next step just yet. And
Sure.
Microsoft provided kindly an option to get an extension on their security updates for another 12 months, and I think it was a cost. I think it was about $75 per device, right?
Right, for nominal charge there.
Right. So everyone's thinking, well, we've got a year to get ourselves fixed. Those companies would have gone into a budgetary cycle to get approval.
Sure.
So we didn't have the money now at the time, but we need to get this done. We've got a year. Those customers would have got into that budgetary cycle towards the end of last year based on quotes they would have received. Maybe they got multiple quotes from different providers. They've gone to place the order. You can guess what happened? Not valid. Sorry.
Not valid.
That quote we
different
gave you.
prices, different availability.
Yep, different availability. What does that customer now do?
It sounds to me like they need to make the best use of the equipment that they have already, and then try to plan to expand or refresh the assets as allowed. Right? What other options are on the table?
Well, the other option's a very uncomfortable one. I've got to go back into the process that I just went through. I've got to get in front of our board, our CFO. I need to ask for more money. How long does that process take? How much do I ask for? This is the dilemma you have, right? Because
they can't provide the blank checks like the AI companies are.
No, they absolutely can't. And the situation that I'm certainly seeing on my side from the channel is that we've got channel sellers now that have got customers that are incredibly angry. They feel like that the partner has acted not necessarily inappropriately, but there's a level of trust that's been lost. Why don't you tell us about this? You only gave us a price last week. Is this a sales tactic?
Right.
And that's an unfortunate situation to be in, especially if, trust is hard won, right? And for these partners, they're selling a multitude of technologies, but all this technology has to run on a device.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you can't get hold of the devices, especially if the customer's desperate, they may look to go elsewhere. This is actually an opportunity for other channel partners to position themselves, maybe even take a loss in order to try and win that business. And so our partners are currently coming to us and saying, look, we have a plethora of customers that need help. Can we provide them another option? And this really has been a conversation that has absolutely dominated my time. I haven't sat in as many podcasts in the last 3 months as I have done in 3 years, because the customers have reached a point where they're like, I can't upgrade my hardware. I have no choice. What do I do? Then do we look for the important people in the organisation?
Right.
Just to upgrade?
By the user personas. And
Imagine we get to October again. If I've not gone to Windows 11, I've got to now pay again for those devices, and it's twice the price it was in October last year. So we're almost it's the devil in the deep blue sea. And for us, it's really been, and again, I don't want to turn this into an IGEL pitch yet, but the customer is genuinely asking, is there any other way? Is there another operating system that I can look at? Because this route for us is a non-starter. We just don't have the money. What have you got?
Right. And of course, that's where we come in to extend the life of these devices and take Windows to the cloud, right? So a piece of hardware that isn't compatible with Windows 11, it is with IGEL OS, and certainly through our extensive IGEL Ready ecosystem, we provide choice to customers.
Yeah.
Right? And many of these customers may already be on a platform. Naturally, we've been doing VDI and DAS for a variety of years, but increasingly across the application delivery options, you've got enterprise browsers, right? We've got PWAs. I know that's a big thing that we like to preach to ensure that customers are choosing the combination of delivery that makes sense for their use cases, for their user personas.
If I'm going to talk to you, the customer right here, utilize your partner, speak to them about potentially running an endpoint assessment for you. First and foremost, I think you should be doing that anyway on a regular basis because, have those devices been right-sized in the first place? What devices are feasible for extending the life? Because we do have some customers where potentially that device has become a bit of a doorstop. Maybe it does need to be replaced. But would you, Mr. Customer, rather be in a position where you're refreshing 10 to 15% of your estate at this moment in time, rather than 100% of the estate, which is what you're looking at right now? We're not professing that we can come in and just prevent it entirely. The reality is that maybe some get replaced, but you've already got the budget set aside for that. But by introducing then IGEL, working as a customer, working with the partner, going through a total cost of ownership exercise, working out potentially where we can make additional tweaks and additional savings. The beauty of being in that immutable OS is the fact that we don't require that extensive list of agents that are sitting on the endpoint. Exactly. We could potentially identify further cost savings that could suddenly then prioritise that budget for another project that the customer may not have considered. And this is the delicate position that I'm finding myself in certainly with those partners, is to turn a very difficult situation with a customer where, the partner can't control the supply, but what I say is, well, you can't control the supply, but Mr. Partner, you can help control the outcome, right? Sit with the customer, understand that endpoint estate. Let's do a rationalise exercise with our TCO calculator. Let's work out exactly what does need to be replaced and when. Okay. And then going through the whole persona piece, which I think is super important, understanding what do people need. And the value add for the partner as well is that they can provide services that are meaningful in the transition for that customer moving away from, let's be honest, what is a very familiar platform for many. Sure. And providing that safe pair of hands so that we can hit whatever time scales the customer needs to within reason. But I think for many, and I hate to say it, the most urgent is those Windows 10 customers, because I said they found themselves in a tricky situation when they didn't have the budget. They got the budget, now the budget's not sufficient. I think they're the customer profile that I feel was probably in the most pain, and I think we've seen it firsthand. Certainly with the partners that I'm working with currently. But all in, this situation, I hate to say it doesn't have an end in sight at the moment. I think the thing with we're talking about the pandemic is, I think the governments were trying to keep us aware on a daily basis in terms of progress that was being made on vaccines as an example, and how the lockdowns were being eased, and how companies going back to work meant that we can work towards getting to normal again. With this, it's going to take a monumental market crash and AI to fail for us to get into a situation where we can be in a position to resolve this situation. And if I was a betting man, there would be no money being placed on that, I'm afraid, Alan.
Wow. A lot to unpack there for sure. I see it as an opportunity, though, where I think we can help customers navigate through these challenging times and hopefully maintain and foster that notion of trust, right? We're kind of in this together in some regards, and ensuring that customers know what options are available, how IGEL OS can help, and many customers may know of the IGEL from years ago, right? Yep. We hear that oh, you guys are the thin client vendors, you guys do hardware. Old habits, old names, old perceptions die hard. Sometimes you could say they maybe never die. So reframing that narrative and ensuring that customers are aware, whether they're attending one of our conferences, one of our road shows, one of our virtual events, to spread the message, because I think we really do have a lot to offer.
You know what, if I had $1 for every time I had heard the word thin client from one of my channel partners, I would already be retired. Yeah. I think, but it's ironic. We went through the big branding change, as you can see. We're synonymous with the hedgehog. The message that we preach now to our partners is we're actually about turning on light bulbs. Right. And that's the light bulb moment. And when our channel partners really understand how we've changed and where we're going as a business, it's amazing the conversation changes. Right. And I find myself sat in front of chief technologists I sit in front of CIOs within our partner community, and they're saying that we need this. And it really does help when there's reports coming out from the likes of Gartner who are actually referring to immutable operating systems being the future. They can see that, I think it was up to 30% they were saying of organizations will need to move to an immutable OS if they want to take their security posture seriously. So, for me, that's validation, and they actually mentioned IGEL in that report. I know it's something that we're looking at getting the publishing rights for.
Yeah, incredibly powerful. They call us out by name. I think that's amazing.
That's an amazing endorsement for a company that doesn't do that very often.
Yes. Fantastic. Well, what else can we say about the global chip shortage, and then we'll change pace for a little bit and talk about some other related things to close out. But
was this the conversation that we were having most recently about playing good cop, bad cop?
Maybe I can kind of be Jekyll and Hyde, with the jacket, without the jacket, with the jacket, or have someone else swing by. So in summary, what would you say, and how would you advise both customers and channel partners, right? What's the advice that you would give on both sides in general, as well as how IGEL can really help them and partner with them through these times?
So look, to the customer, it's, don't despair, first and foremost. We know this is a challenging situation right now. You feel like you have no choice. You're going backwards and forwards, new quotes, probably with your partner. You may even be considering going to other partners. The reality is the answer's going to be the same regardless of where you go. Okay? Is there another way? Is the question that, as a customer, that you should be asking yourself, and the answer is a resounding yes. Reach out to your channel partner and ask them about, should we be considering IGEL? Can they provide us a viable option? The answer is absolutely, that we can help. Not only can we help, we can potentially look at using only a fraction of that budget. We can look at identifying additional areas of cost savings and potentially bring a strategic project that may have been shelved for the time being because finances just don't allow for it, and we can bring that back to the table and help get that, working with that partner, getting not just our project delivered, but getting that partner starting to prep for getting the other project back online. And I think that's the secret sauce. That's the magic that we can provide to the channel partners, and there is an awful lot of them out there. The issue we have is actually getting the awareness out to state that there's a viable option. I was in conversation. I won't mention the name of the partner that I was with last week, but the conversation was a challenging one. I actually sent them some content for a new campaign that I'm taking to market with our channel. He gave me an indication of the kind of numbers that they were talking for the current quarter that's about for their quarter that's about to close. 24% of their hardware number was done for the quarter. Not 24% for the year. That would be on track, right?
Right.
24%. They said they're having to look for other ways of being able to help the customer, but this problem's just have to be put on hold.
Wow.
We'll wait for next quarter. I'm telling you, next quarter's not going to change. It's just the situation's just going to get worse. So the message to the channel partners is, IGEL is a valuable option for you here. Not only will it get the customer out of a difficult situation, but that opportunity to take another project off the shelf and reinvigorate that. I mean, that's going to drive. It's not just about licensing. It's about driving value-added services. It's about getting to understand the customer's endpoint estate a hell of a lot more. Provide the customer a free endpoint assessment. It's going to be the best piece of intelligence that you can produce, and something that's of extreme value to the customer, right? Couple that with a TCO calculator that the IGEL channel partner can work on with the sales team. We can produce a tangible output that will provide not only a simple one-page summary, but something that can actually go and be presented by the customer to the board, that gets presented alongside that partner.
Love it.
I'm telling you, this is a get-out-of-jail-free card. And partners really need to think about playing it. And for the customers, thank God you found us. We can help.
We're here to help. That's a great message. All right, so to round up the episode, we'll change gears, and what's a fun fact about yourself? And what do you like to do in your free time?
What's free time?
I know you've been a busy man, and we talked about some of your travels, but any hidden talents? Any?
Oh, do you really want me to do this reveal? Because like you don't know what you're getting into.
Oh,
here.
that's okay. That's okay. If you're watching this now, this was never done live. So if you're watching this now, I'm prefacing that. Go ahead.
So if I tell you that my first career path did involve a microphone, along with three very glamorous individuals, I was actually destined for a pop career at the very start.
Very nice.
But I entered into the modelling field at the age of 16. So I actually modelled for Vivienne Westwood. My problem was at the age of 18 I stopped growing, so had to transition out of childhood into adult, and it just didn't work. Hence the failed pop career. Recorded the first 3 singles and never got further than that, sadly. But 6 months of landscape gardening and suddenly found myself in tech. We never know the path that's set out before us, and
that's true. True.
Just meeting good people, mentors along the way that kind of helped me into where I am today. I'm sure that you got the same.
Very, very much so.
But in terms of hidden talents, I'm good with pets. Let's put it that way. I've got some lovely pets. But
what kind of pets do you have?
So
dogs,
I have
cats?
snow Bengals.
Oh.
So think of them, they're like little baby leopards with blue eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful animals. But in terms of what do I do in my spare time, occasionally I do get spare time.
You sleep?
I sleep. I think it's important for us to all have something that, as a leveler, I think people have all got all sorts of hobbies like hiking and sports activities. I like to take my frustration out on some weights in the gym. It's a great leveler, but it's also the social element for me. So while people are out, a lot of Brits, you think of them going out down the pub on a Friday. Yeah, you'll find me in the gym, and my conversations with my friends in the gym. That's kind of my pub time.
Nice.
But otherwise it's I have a talent for collecting air miles. So and that's going to be continuing this year. It's great to see certainly my region growing. That means that I'm needed a lot more, because I think you said it at the beginning, Alan. It's very difficult to build relationships over teams. I think you've got to be meeting these people. You've got to be shaking their hands, bowing. But relationships are built around not just what you do in the boardroom, but the time that you experience with them in a more social environment. That's how networks are really built. People buy from people. I'm a firm believer of that. I'm sure it's a view that you subscribe to.
Agreed. Yes.
So come on then. It's not. I need to reflect this back on you, Alan. You're the one asking all the questions.
Oh, okay.
Have you got some hidden talents that you're going to tell the world?
I wouldn't say hidden talents. I play ice hockey. I'm a defenseman in a beer league. So
you're a brave man.
Yeah. So that's my Sunday, and other than that, just spending time with the fam, the wife. We have a 3-year-old. He keeps us pretty busy.
Do you know what? Yeah. I'm delighted that I loved having children. Mine are sort of 19 and 20 now. She's 19 in a couple of weeks. But I enjoyed it thoroughly. But I also have extreme sympathy for you as well, because as they grow up, they do get more expensive, but less hands-on. A 3-year-old is entertainment personified.
Absolutely. He's growing so fast. I can barely keep up with him in the grocery store, in the supermarket, running up and down the aisles. Just to think, if we had that kind of energy at our age, what we'd be able to do. But just amazing. So pure, so innocent. I love it.
This is why caffeine was invented, Alan.
This is true. And I probably need to go get another cup myself. But yeah, no, JT, can't thank you enough.
This has been so much fun, Alan. Thank you for having me on your show.
My absolute pleasure. We'll see you all on a next one. Until then, keep it safe, keep it secure. Simply IGEL it. Bye, everyone.